Hello everybody, welcome to Armstrong Computers channel once again. Today let's begin with our 23rd Excel tutorial. Remember our previous video we covered a section of playing back a macro. I'll be leaving a link here where you guys can just go and then take a recap of that and join us here. In today's segment we'll be looking at formatting a printed worksheet. Now most of the time want to talk about formatting a printed worksheet, what is it all about? Someone may ask, what is it all about? Now let me show you something here. Now as I've switched to my Excel screen, you can see that I have if you could remember this also, that is using the if statement, where we use the if statement to find the we use the average mark to find the grade, the GPA, and the class of each student. Yes, again I'll be leaving the link here where you guys can just go and take a recap of that also. Now when you watch, for instance, you can see that we have our printed worksheet, for instance. Now when we talk about formatting the printed worksheet, this simply means that sometimes you may print preview your worksheet and then you realize that most of the items or most of the your worksheets are not displaying. A portion is being cut off, so it is up to you to format it so that all your labels and values will display. For instance, let me show you a couple of that. Now you just click on let's preview this. Let's preview our worksheet to see what I'm talking about. So when you click on file, for instance, and then you click on print, so you can see when you see what appear on the screen, you can see that the class has cut off here. This very section, the class has cut off. We have the GPA all right, but the class has been cut off. So when you find yourself at this point, don't be alarmed. I'm going to show you how you can just format your worksheet so that all your labels and values will display nicely. Now let's switch back to the worksheet, and you see some dotted line dividing, how do you call it, that very portion. Okay, so when I go back, for instance, you can see that there is a dotted line here dividing the entire sheet. So this simply means that this very portion, when you print preview or when you print your work, this very portion will be cut off and it will print in the next page. So to avoid this, what you need to do is that you need to go to the page orientation. Now you can switch the page orientation and then either switch the page to portrait or landscape. Now remember, I'd like you to understand that the default page orientation is always portrait. It's always what? Portrait. But the question here is this: what is page orientation? One thing about page orientation, it is used to switch the pages between portrait and landscape layout. That is what it's used for. So now if we now know what is page orientation, let's switch to the worksheet and then take a recap of how to switch from portrait to landscape. So as I'm in my worksheet now, to switch from portrait to landscape so that everything will appear, what I'll do is that I'll just go to my page layout tab here. When I click on my page layout tab, in point of time, I'll look through my page layout ribbon. Under the page setup logical group, you see where we have orientation. Okay, then click on the tasked arrow below orientation and click on landscape. Now the moment you click on landscape, you realize that the dotted line has shifted to the next side, this very side, in between the I and the J. This simply means that when you print preview your work will appear perfectly. Let's look at this. When I click on file and click on print, guess what? You realize that my work has appeared perfectly. Okay, so that is just that. But someone may ask, say, what about if I want my work to be in portrait format, and so that at least I can print, I want to print my work in portrait format, not landscape. What will I do? Now to do this, what you need to do is that if you realize very carefully that when you change your orientation to portrait, the class always cuts off. But don't be alarmed. Let me show you what you need to do. Now what you need to do is that just come to where we have page setup here. Okay, click on the tasked arrow here, or click on the page setup here. Dialog box will display on the screen. Don't be alarmed. Just come to the page here, Okay, on the page setup dialog box, click on page and then select where we have portrait and then just click on OK. Then you realize that still this portion is being cut off. Now instead of you having one page, you are going to have page 1 and 2. The moment to click on next, the portion that is being cut off is what is appearing in what's in page what's in the second page, which is page 2. So if you want the whole thing to display in what's in one page, what you need to do is this: just come to where we have normal. So we have the normal margin. Click on the tasket arrow where we have the normal margin and select narrow. When you select narrow, you could see that still the page is not displaying. Don't be alarmed. Let me show you. You can reduce the labels and values, okay, to maybe 90 degrees or 85%, so that at least your labels and value will display in your on your page. Now let me show you something here. The question here is that what is page margin? Page margin is that it is used to select the margin size for the entire document or the current section. So that is page margin. So we are going to use the page margin to adjust this work book. Okay, let me switch to the workbook, then we continue from there. So as you can see, the portion here is being cut off, where it's telling me that when I print preview my work as I print preview earlier on, you realize that that portion is being cut off. So to do this is just simple. What I need to do is that I'd like you to just come to where we have page setup. When you click on the page setup dialog box will display on the screen. Don't be alarmed. Come to where we have adjust to. Okay, where we have adjust to, just to reduce the adjust from 100 to 95%. Then after that, click on OK and see. You can see that it is very small, but yet still your particular column is not displaying. You can also go ahead and click on where we have the page setup, and then you reduce the adjustments again to maybe 80%. Then you click on OK. Then you realize that everything is appearing. What do you think? That is just by the way, but there's some things we need to do here again. Now when you watch very carefully, it looks as if the line below is not showing. Don't worry, when I click on this very side here and then click on it to zoom closer, you can see that the line is showing. So you can use the page setup, okay, to reduce the adjustments to maybe 90 to 80, so that it will reduce your labels and value on your worksheet, so that when you print, everything will appear. But when you are doing that and you find yourself wanting and it's not appearing, the advice method I'll give to you is you then going ahead to adjust the entire section to, let's say, to switch from portrait to landscape. Okay, so basically that is just that. Thank you so much. Catch you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.